The Karen struggle is now just one part of a general struggle for democracy in the country as a whole. Half the men in this unit are actually Burmese, and Karen spokesmen now talk of achieving autonomy for Kortule within a democratic Burma rather than independent nationhood. But how far away might that be? We put it to Major Zan that Rangoon has lately been making overtures about its willingness to discuss democracy.
You mean tiger eat meat, no? But they said they don't eat meat, we don't believe. Self-defense. Survival, Draga General, tired of Clipper. General Simmerachimo, Ninja Illusion. I did it by to Ninja Ecorus from Hobo. Ja, Veroma Tatalum South. The Linyara. Eh, General Apika Yase, Kisu Sunia, Kavaujinyam. Negotiation. Ceasefire first. No? Prisoners, Tauna Alo, Nanga Jinma Alo look like. No? Look like below. Twiso Sunu would wear Nangan the Gaga. Press for media collar.
The district's problems are, of course, compounded by the influx of refugees. Out of a population of 150,000, 30,000 in this district are people displaced by the Burmese. This woman, for example, a Karen who came originally from these hills, returned only 2 years ago after 25 years working as a school teacher down in the district town of Papun.
Kisi ya ni da do da patonya ni aweti nani ya bale jipurga ule taklema anono jipure ya ni asetwe do no seba pete tinya lo pogi puklova ye mata ni letu otau mo ye me di ye metra mudra ye ode ye aniga ta totalo da ye me wa kripodga da ye me murga la aweti tenyo ni wera po ye po ni ojega no apo kwani thega apo mukiga podra ni taba hele pa kanya uba ba taba hit kloda taba khata ba de ya ye phone ye thaya ge la dito apa me de onaki ye jimi murga de ye me chotra murga ni ye podra ye wekless thaya di to ke ha pa ge pa wa mo ka oda ta pitama.
Her eldest son, having come to adulthood with experience only of town life, is getting to grips with what it takes to be a hill farmer. He too is glad to be away from the town.
So Masiva, the Wapole Papu, Yagupo, Marada Ruto Copo, Masiva, Kawa Cotura, and it's Sukola, Kawa Ladu, Aksuko Kipone, what a turnu a chokavua, at that nigger house serpo, a Chinese toy serpo.
The poet you pony. You pokwa durgani poet and the letter new chokabu KK la. The Teda Lata set with Oda party. No, no, quite a bit of Tinyalo Pogibukota Nomia, but Mata Letu Utaula.
In fact, the teacher's son had other reasons to be well shot of town life, as we learnt later when he stood up in church.
Oleku, ma kamata ma new mujilla. That day by Fanya do me the Givani Mako Mio de that or who the or who ye. That ma the road papa poor leader maje. Now ma the road papa move story the ma. Nage Miller Wapomu let's start by the Yama. Me not call by the magma. At the Hagole Yaboko Padona. Dilo you poopa your top wild learning. Your man, Stagamani, or art or you po. Your ma, Jimmo. Art all. Agapaga, Sarada, your teeth go. The Pacoga Unima Okama.
Up in the hills, the former tearaway can no longer be terrible to friends, particularly his new friends, since he relies so much on their knowledge of how to get a living up here.
We made a game up a hip peg. I let a jan. I couldn't web baha pay le tapuavula. Tapua lissy fado cloud with a pen of law. I pay Janet. Safale what penny what pay laughing for it. Pay to le la mash.
These Karen are slash and burn farmers. A section of forest is hacked down towards the end of the dry season and the debris is burnt. At the beginning of the wet season, seeds are planted among the stumps. With constant weeding, this should provide an autumn harvest of rice sufficient for a family for a year. Thereafter, that section of hillside is supposed to be left to regenerate for 12 to 15 years.
Ole check la do mood myoji. Ole Papua Mavata Borje. Ole check la Mavata Narje. Mood Mavata Narkala. The Casika saw the over and pull me choke chaki or gorge. We let me all over how do the Mamichu or Vagila. Or how to move your matita over how to move her pado.
Some proponents of development condemn slash and burn as a wasteful, primitive system, harmful to the ecological balance, which should be replaced as soon as possible by modern, efficient, terraced fields. Others contend that slash and burn is in fact apt and sustainable for hill societies like this. The snag is the new arrivals.
Hey, Tavo Papu, Hechi, Legacheck like Givio, Jimmy Hatflo. Givio, my G to say, Gido.
Historically, the 15-year field rotation sustained the people and gave the forest time to regenerate. But with the increased population, the 15-year cycle is being cut shorter, and even worse, new parts of the forest never previously exploited are being cut down. One evening, we sat down with two people from different sides of the village population. On the one hand, the recently arrived school teacher from town, and on the other, one of the oldest inhabitants who fought with the British here in World War II. They talked first of their feelings about the Burmese.
Awe pasu pasa te mio te thodi to puwe pa nyo ba puwe pa nyo honi pasa tho pasa tho te ka ba de le ta ko mi de pune solosa
me joge petui me pe joge petui awe bele he mu we samla awe boalu ni khode e we pete na pa va dinini
ba sa pa ma pa khipu ya tane akwa lo ata dileni pa ma pa yo tane pa taga le wi pota na wi pota ne no wi pota ne wi de ne ba we per holle de la wi de ne wi de ne ba la we khoti ne ki wi la we akacha o me le o pre ne bali pa wi pota ga ne me do ba cho to ba ba awe ta ga nyona ba me me we po pa ka lu ta lo cho ga de mi le pe ate we le tu pe so wa pe ne awe le so lo the winner we got up here baba pe winnie mo awe lo cho asa tapatu pata lo cho ga di de kamo
de tai to me te po cho de te nyo chi ba chi awe de yi ma pra de la na ke de pe me kwa thi ma pra de po cho thi de